Hello, my name is Alexis Watson. I am in the spring 2019 Contemporary Issues in Criminal Justice class at Wichita State University. Now, I am going to be discussing criminal justice reform for our final capstone project. I will be going over topics such as screening of police, policies that I would like to see taken out of place, issues with our court system, issues with our correction system and sentencing systems, as well as things that we should implement post-release for these people. Now to begin, I will start with screening of police. While we do a pretty decent job at the moment of screening for police, I would like for there to be more pre-screenings for aggression and anything that could be seen as racism or anything of that nature. This can take several forms. This is a policy that could be implemented rather quickly, but I would like to see maybe more of a psychological evaluation towards aggression, and quite possibly another one for after they go through maybe training camp or something of that nature, where they're placed in a simulation with a particularly aggressive criminal, and they have to solve the system. There's issues with this being that they could easily be fake paths or something else. It is simply just a matter of adjusting and fixing the situation as per needed. This is something that can evolve over time. We do not want our police to be overly aggressive towards criminals, causing unwanted pain, suffering, or anything like that. So, like I said, this is something that can be implemented rather quickly. However, I would implement it slowly at first, just to make sure that we're not over-screening or under-screening certain things. I do believe that these kinds of policies could bring down any police brutality or racial profiling. Now, this is not a one-size-fits-all thing. Humans are all different, as is the human condition in this situation. So it would not be a perfect catch-all. I just think it would lower that amount at the moment. The next thing I mentioned was the stop and frisk, was policies I would like to get rid of, such as stop and frisk. While it is not implemented in Kansas, I know it is definitely implemented in New York City. And I went through a documentary on that with a professor recently, I believe in a corrections course, or something of the like, and we watched a documentary and discussed it, and from what the documentary stated, it said that there were non-official, but there were quotas that they had to reach, and if they did not reach, they would be reprimanded or removed from the job. And I understand that they need to be in high-risk neighborhoods, and I understand that high-risk neighborhoods tend to be racial minorities, but I do believe that the policy should be implemented all over, and there should be better restrictions, better definitions, better regulations in place for it. There should be no quotas, as it is completely unfair, or just a complete stop to the policy and an up thing on things like guns or any sort of violence. I believe there should be a policy up to take care of that in its place, that is not stop and frisk. Next, I will be moving to our court system. The majority of our court system is very well run. I do believe that the court system is very well run. It is very organized. It is very clear who becomes a judge, who doesn't. The legal representation given to people, because that is necessary, is very well done. However, our courts are completely overcrowded. And so there needs to either be more courts, more specialized courts, because especially here in Wichita, we do have a drug-specific court. I believe that should be implemented for many other misdemeanors, However, for federal crimes as well as felonies, I would continue to have them be in a separate court, as they are much less common than misdemeanors. There are traffic courts, of course. I do believe that it should be separated out like that, and organized a little better to avoid overcrowding. And that's really all I have to say about that. That will take time, that will take money. That would be something that we would have to use taxes for. And it would take a lot of time to implement and organize. So this is not a policy that I would suggest for doing overnight. This is not a system I would particularly like to completely overhaul. Just make some adjustments to what we already have, as our current system does work quite well. Next, I have sentencing systems. The biggest is decriminalization of especially marijuana, maybe some other drugs that are less harmful, and I would have less harsh punishments for those caught in possession. Those who are selling, I still would like pretty strict sentencing options, but possession should be much lower, if not just simply legal or decriminalized, meaning that you would not be penalized or criminalized for it. I would stop 3 strikes policies, and a lot of them are starting to go away. 3 strikes policies mean that you have, on the 3rd offense, your sentence is much harsher, and even could be life in prison. I do believe those should go away, especially if they're non-related felonies. And I believe there should be a better system to deal with the criminals after they exit the system, but I'll get to that a little bit later in the presentation. Another thing I would like to touch on within sentencing is assault. It does seem that the assault charges are very lax, either not being reported, not being punished heavily enough. There are people who are only in prison for 3 months for an assault of a heinous nature, and when you see the statistics, I do believe that it needs to change, especially within our prison system. 80,600 inmates are assaulted or raped. 60,000 of our children. 321,500 adults over the age of 12 are assaulted or raped, and 18,900 people in our military have been assaulted. 1 in every 6 American women have been sexually assaulted, either attempted or completed. About 3% of American men, or every 1 in 33 men, have experienced an attempt. 63,000 children a year are victims of sexual abuse. A majority are ages 12 to 17. 34% are under the age of 12, and the others, and 66% between the ages of 12 and 17. Now, these statistics do need to go down. I believe that sexual education in prison is something we should adjust and re-up. However, that is not what I'm here to discuss. I'm here to discuss criminal justice reform. But those statistics need to be lowered. I believe longer sentencing, better lists for the sexual offenders registry, having to inform friends and neighbors of this rather than having them be by themselves. Apologies, I forgot what I was saying. I believe there should be stricter things upon the sentencing of people who commit sexual assault. No chance for parole, they must serve their entire sentence, things of that nature. I believe it would deter and lessen the number of offenders we have on our streets today. Now, corrections is the main issue I have. First of all, going into what is called solitary or solitary confinement. It is awful for mental health. I'm a criminal justice and psychology major, and so I do have a little more perspective on the psychological nature of these things. The psychology of being left alone for all but an hour a day, not being able to out, and I understand it is used for protection reasons. That does not make it better. I do believe that there should just be better protection placed on those people, and they should be able to at least partially move in and out of the regular prison society. Moving from solitary to actual mental health in prison, I believe there should be better systems. I believe there should be psychologist or psychiatrist visits. I believe there should be better access to medication at the level prescribed by their doctors. Things of those nature need to be put in place because a lot of our prison population is mentally ill. Their mental illness can prevent them from understanding what counts as law, what doesn't, how to interpret the law, what limits of personal boundaries or societal rules we have. And so of this nature, I would prefer not to be completely isolated in that nature. I would prefer them to be integrated into the society. I would prefer medication and psychiatrist or psychologist visits on a regular basis to be able to help their mental health. Continuing on, I would like education, possible ability to get a college degree through the prison system, so we can integrate people more into the society when they get out of the prison system. Moving on to after release, I do believe that there should be a better system for releasing prisoners into American society. I believe that they should be better taken care of. I believe that those who are on medication should have better access to the medication, and classes outside of the system to help them reintegrate into society. So of that, most of these policies, except for ones I mentioned, could be implemented rather quickly. Some will take a little longer. Some could take days, months, years, tens of years to adjust. However, I do believe that this is a necessary step because of the issues we have in our system, especially on the latter end of the system. I believe we get more issues the farther through the system you get, even through to after release. I believe a lot of the reforms need to be made within the prison and jail systems and after release. In those things, especially with parole or halfway houses or after release homes, I believe is a grand place for these things to make a great impact and lower our criminalization rate, as well as adjusting sentences. And even before then, courts are crowded, give us more courts, and then further pushing through to just stopping certain policies, as well as adjusting police implementation methods and regulations. But I talked more on the latter end of those things, and that is where I would like to put my focus, is the corrections system and after release, so that these people can be released into society and we can no, we pay a little more now, so we don't have to pay for it with our lives, our valuables, anything else of that nature later on. I do believe that these things can help, and I would be very happy if I could have someone get the ball rolling with them. Thank you once again. My name is Alexis Watson. I am in the 2019 Contemporary Issues of Criminal Justice class, and thank you.